One of them's going to have to go home here. So our game 1 is going to be Steppe, game 2 Valley, and game 3, if we get that far, is going to be Serengeti. So we're going to see two different, well, I guess one or potentially two different maps, with Steppe being a repeat of the maps we've seen so far today. Yeah, looking forward to this. This is going to be good, and should be some very nice games. Let me just make sure everything's set up here. I believe it is. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 for st4rk versus dogao, best of 3. Winner, of course, will go forward and needs one more victory after that to advance to the main stage, whilst the loser will be knocked out and be going home. So just to clarify, once again, because a lot of people still seem to be asking, where's Viper, where's Nicov, where's Tim? They're already in the main event. This is the qualification to see who will qualify to the main event and join Viper, Nicov, Tim, and TaToH. So 4 players will join the 4 players who are already in the main event after finishing top 4 in the elimination draft, which was the last tournament that we hosted. We're going to be streaming every single Sunday at 15 GMT on the Twitch TV Escape AoE channel. And we're going to be doing that for the next 2.5 months. So make sure you pencil it into your calendar, because every single week you're going to get some of the best Age of Empires action in the world. We're going to have the highest caliber of players duking it out in a complete round-robin league system, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So we're back on Steppe here for game number 1, and this is a map that we've seen quite a lot of high aggression from all of the players so far. st4rk in the blue, playing as the Brits to the right side, TC on the berries, and to the left side we've got dogao playing in the red, as well as the Britons on the berries here with his TC, but also on the wood a little bit. So I'm more of a fan of dogao's TC position. He's got gold in the back, he's got the berries close by, he's got his boar super close as well, and yeah, I mean, there's obviously the stone and the gold down here, which he can access a little later if he needs to. But yeah, st4rk's TC is much more open. The wood is very far away from this. And IR back, I don't know what you mean, because Viper is in the tournament. But okay. And st4rk here, yeah, is much more exposed, but you know, he could do stuff about that. He could kind of build walls around towards, you know, down here, for example, to keep these guys a little safer. But I think he just put his TC down immediately where it was, just to try and get the TC up as quickly as he can and not delay in the Dark Age. Now, a very common strat we've seen so far on this map has been the tower rush. A lot of players have been going over to stone and towering very aggressively, and that's something that has been quite common on this one so far. So we'll have to see if that's something that these guys go for here. Of course, being the Britons, I mean, they could go for a rush, which has also been quite a common strat, sort of like a man-at-arms style play. And then after that, follow it up with archers, of course, since the Brits are one of the better archer civs in the game, and certainly in 1v1, you know, archers and crossbow, they get that power spike in the castle age. They're really nice. So we're going to keep an eye, see what they're going to do, if they're going to move over to stone or not. Looking at the stone positions, it does look like st4rk has stone in the back, which is really good for him. This stone is on the front, not the end of the world. And dogao also has stone, yeah, sort of towards the back. The stone seems fairly spread out. And if I'm not mistaken, oh, there you go. dogao going to lose his horse there, his scout, unfortunately. But if I am not mistaken, it looks like dogao only has 2 stone mines. His 3rd stone mine is actually trapped in the trees back here, which is kind of unfortunate for him. But he does still have access to 2, so it's not the end of the world. But still, I mean, would be nice if he could access that one as well, I imagine, if it came to it. Who knows? Could be quite crucial if st4rk goes for some kind of tower rush play or something. I don't know. But yeah, right now, both players just off to their standard starts, getting the boar in. Both players actually getting the second boar at like identical timing. So very close. dogao 17 population. st4rk on 18, of course, because he did kill the scout of dogao. Now, speaking of scouting, it's a good time to take a look at the scouting. And we can see that st4rk has a reasonably good idea of his local area. He's taken the deer out at the front. Of course, he doesn't have to mill his berries. If his TC is there, he's TC'd his berries. That's the new meta. But yeah, he's seen his local area. That's important. Looking at dogao, dogao seems to have quite a bit more scouting information. He obviously knows where the TC of Stark is, but he has lost his horse now, so he's not going to see much more. But he's got the crucial information. He's got the really sort of local area nailed down. He knows what's going on. He's got a safe lumber camp behind his TC. Very nice. And he's taken the deer out to the north because he's TC'd his berries. So interestingly, he's going to let that boar rot away on the left. Oh, never mind. It's because he's already got his boar on the right side. Ignore me. But 19 pop up for dogao. That's very quick. Whereas Stark seems to be going a lot slower up. He's adding his 22nd population, now 21st villager, doing loom. He's in no rush, it seems, to get up to the next age. I'm pretty sure that the horse does count towards your population. Does it not? I thought it did. I was sure it did. But it's such a weird thing. Anyway, let's see, I guess. Stark didn't lose the population, so you're right. The horse doesn't even count towards your population. That's so weird. It's such a strange, unusual quirk about this map. But there you go. So, dogao going up 19 villagers. Stark going up with 22, I think. Yeah, 22, because he's built a militia now. So, quite a lot slower for Stark, but he's going to go up with more vills. And dogao, on the other hand, fast and furious. Barracks is up, ready to go, and it looks like, well, he's going to throw down a... Well, he could just go straight into an archery range, or he could go stable and go for some scouts as well, which is not super common for the Brits, but certainly not something out of the realm of possibility. But with this much wood, without making any militia right now, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of ranges coming down, which is definitely the more standard kind of thing to see. Now, he's not taking any gold, but he can go straight onto skirms, I guess, and move on to the gold a little later. Of course, skirms preemptively anticipating archers from the from his opponent. However, his opponent, since he has no scouting info, might catch him out a little here as the militia come in and they can go to town on this ville. They can delay the second range for quite some time here, as dogao has no way to actually build it without these militia coming in and harassing him. In fact, he's had to wall his villager in here, and that villager is now trapped. It's going to be useless. It's going to do nothing. And meanwhile, dogao's going to have to wall another villager in. Okay, that's actually a pretty good play by dogao there. Stark moving all of his militia over to one position means that dogao can just delete the wall and get the villager away. So actually, that was really well played. He does bring out an archer. Next is going to be a skirm, and then he's going to go ahead and grab 5 villagers onto the gold to start making archer production. This is a really, really fast feudal into archers from dogao, and I like it. I like it a lot. Stark, meanwhile, has completed man-at-arms. He's coming over to the villagers on the deer. Maybe he'll find something out there. But I don't think he will, because dogao can just kite him away with these guys. And if these villagers turn and fight, and he fights with his army as well, it may be a bit risky, but he shouldn't lose a villager. He should be okay. Second range is up. There's more skirms coming out. And, of course, Stark as well, knowing that his opponent's opening into skirms, isn't going to start making archers into this. He's going to add his own skirms also. So 2 ranged skirms for Stark too. Stark is moving over to gold as well, so we're going to see archer transitioning in here eventually. But right now, these men-at-arms actually working quite well. Little meat shields, nicely done. And once again, dogao pushed away from the deer. Now, Stark could lame the deer and just annoy dogao a little bit more by doing that. But right now, Stark feels the need to play very aggressively, and I agree with that. I agree with his decision to come forward with the men-at-arms and be very aggressive here. But right now, dogao, a good number of units in defense. The blacksmith is going up. And dogao's going to be able to defend this and push it away and probably counter-attack as well. He's got more than enough units, and he's probably going to have fletching first, as Stark doesn't have the blacksmith just yet. So dogao fletching coming in, pushing out. And, I mean, I'd be interested to see if he was to follow this up with a villager or two to come forward and just drop a sneaky tower down. But right now, dogao can just dance around in the center of the map and wait for that fletching upgrade to come in and then just hammer home his advantage. He's got a much larger military. 12 ranged units versus Stark's 7 plus the 2 men-at-arms. So Stark's going to have to run, Forest. Get out of there. And Stark right now not doing fletching because he doesn't have 50 gold. He will have in a second, but that's just delaying him slightly and means that he can't turn and fight quite easily either. So dogao, quite a big advantage right now, it would seem, as Stark's military is kind of splitting up all over the place, and dogao starting to go a lot more heavily onto the archers, which is what you do as the Brits. I like these kind of wars though that are out in the open, no hills, just it's all about just army positioning, small advantages like having fletching or not, focus firing the right units, just that kind of stuff. And dogao's really good at that, as you can see. He will actually fall back though, sniping off the man-at-arms, regrouping, and he could turn this, I think, but wants to play it safe, grouping up a little more. st4rk starting skirms as well. He's actually still only got 2 villas on gold, so he looks like he's going to be going a lot more skirmisher heavy here. As a result, he should be seeding more farms. st4rk has got 9 farmers, I think, once these 2 come up. So 9 farmers for him versus dogao's 6. So st4rk does seem to go in a little more heavy onto the skirms. And that's okay, but you've got to be very careful over committing to skirmishes. It's always a little risk. They do work very well in defense, of course, but when you want to push out and attack, they really fall short. And when you get to the castle age, it's a big risk having a lot of skirmishes. They die to just a small number of knights. You know, and even crossbows for the Brits, since they get the extra range, with a bit of micro, you can easily take down feudal age skirmishers with castle age crossbowmen, for example. But since st4rk does seem a lot more heavy onto the skirms, he should be seeding more farms. He should have a little bit more food surplus in theory, and maybe he'll have a little bit of a faster castle time. But right now, dogao with a good score lead, a good population lead as well by about 10, as he really pulls ahead in military count. dogao doing a really smart move, baiting away this army, and meanwhile coming in with a few archers back here. And I think he was going to try and go for st4rk's eco. He should do, at least. I mean, he could come up to the gold, for example, and do a lot of damage, but I think he's going to get caught out now as st4rk comes down with the skirms, and he's got to back away. He's going to end up backing up towards these ranges, and if st4rk has got a few more skirms here, he's going to be a little bit sandwiched. So there you go. dogao going to either have to stop and fight this, or just run past and take the damage. If he stops and fights, he loses everything. If he runs by, he loses some, but not as much as if he'd have stopped. So that was a little messy, actually. But still, dogao's kind of splitting up his units a lot. He's not grouping them together. He's splitting them. He's looking for different angles. And meanwhile, st4rk's actually done a pretty big wall off. And he's completely walled this. So it's actually difficult for dogao to find a way through. And st4rk now is actually in a pretty decent position, provided he can just keep military production going, keep taking favorable engagements, and keep the foot on the gas with the skirmisher production. dogao still making archers, and although yes, I mean it's great to have a lot of archers out when you hit the castle age, if he makes too many archers and doesn't quite have the right balance, then st4rk will just win due to having sheer numbers of skirms here. Both players have +1 defense. And it looks like dogao's got a little bit more surplus food and gold in the bank. So with these berries finishing up, maybe dogao will seed a bunch more farms, and we'll see castle age coming in fairly soon for dogao here. Still, neither player having a good time in terms of eco raiding. Neither player's managed to really do that much yet. It looks like, yeah, okay, so dogao can actually hit the villagers on the gold from this side of the fence, but even still, right now, no villagers going down by the looks of things. And, okay, st4rk's going to come have a fight here. This could go well for st4rk. dogao's got to be careful. If he gets trapped, could lose a lot, since st4rk has way more skirmishes in this army. And dogao is just trying to reposition himself, getting himself out of there. st4rk's going to come in and close the gap. Of course, he knows this is walled off, but, okay, dogao going to try and leave his skirms behind, get his archers out there. That's really important that he keeps those archers alive. And st4rk trying to head him off because he knows that this is walled. There is a hold though. Is dogao going to go in? That would be crazy if dogao went in. That would just be suicide. So he's got to go out. He's got to stay out. But still, I mean, dogao is ahead in military, but he seems to not be taking the most favorable engagements. I mean, st4rk does seem to be getting the better fights here. dogao, though, will be castle any second now, but another fight comes in the south, and Stark once again going to pick off a few more units for free. It's nice for him. It's very nice. However, dogao here is going to be castle a little bit sooner. He's just 20 food away. And yeah, I mean, I'm liking this from Stark still. With all these skirms, he's traded very effectively. And, you know, what we could do is we can't. I wish I could check the achievements right now. If I had the ability to check the achievements, we could see, like, the KD at this point in the game. That would be really cool. So, with Stark being so heavy on the skirms, that's what I was saying before, when dogao gets to the castle age, you know, he's probably going to have a pretty big advantage if Stark takes some time to click up. Stark's fairly close, 200 food away, 100 gold away. He'll be there soon. But dogao might add a siege workshop. I think that's the most likely thing to happen. And he's actually adding more skirms of his own. So I'm guessing he'll do elite skirmisher since he has so many up. As well as, of course, crossbow. And with those two combined, maybe a siege workshop and a mangonel, he can do a lot of damage. But the question is, does he want to commit to the mangonel? Or does he want to get second and third TC up first? And I feel like being faster to the castle age, you could go for the mangonel and just try and steamroll your opponent and just get a good shot. But maybe it's a little more risky. Maybe he'll take the safer option and go for the second and third TC since they are cheaper as the Brits. And he's got more than enough army to repel this from Stark anyway. So we'll see what dogao goes for once he hits castle. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the second and third TC. He'll play it probably a bit safer. Stark's up on 25%. dogao is on 80%. So there's about 2 minutes between them at this stage. Stark here going to go attack the house, and dogao actually hasn't completed a wall off yet. There is actually a hole around the top, but he's going to make another hole anyway. There's enough units here to just batter down the house pretty quickly. And dogao's got to be careful. He doesn't want to take the engagement before the upgrades come in, because he wants to take the best engagement possible. I think he'll get the upgrades in time, roughly, if he comes back. Vacate the vills, keep this army alive, and he is actually going to do skirmisher and crossbowman. And meanwhile, running the villagers back to the TC. Now, of course, Stark isn't going to want to sit around and fight that all day, especially with the upgrades coming in any second. And there you have it. dogao has the crossbow tech now, but Stark's already out of there, realizing that if he gets stuck in here when all these upgrades comes in, he would be screwed. Could have been a nice touch for dogao to try and wall this hole up, actually. That could have trapped the units a bit more, but, you know, it's really hard to pull that off. So I was off the mark with the second and third TC straight away. He's actually going for the university first, which is also a very, very good choice, considering how many ranged units he has. Getting ballistics right now is going to make a big difference to this army. And he's got 32 ranged units, so that's pretty huge. The second TC is coming up now, though. And the third will probably follow pretty shortly. But yeah, having ballistics, if Stark doesn't get ballistics and takes a toe-to-toe fight with dogao, yeah, dogao's going to come out really well. But still, I mean, I don't think this is the best fight to be taking right now. Up at the top, a small number of skirms, but, you know, they are elite. He does have bodkin arrow, and Stark can just wait, get the tech, and then turn this around. Meanwhile, dogao's going to find a hole in the wall, and both players here are looking pretty good, to be honest. There's the elite skirm for Stark and bodkin arrow, and as I said, he's just going to turn that straight around. There's no question about it. So dogao's going to have to run. But Stark doesn't have ballistics, so a lot of these javelins, they're missing. They're falling into the ground. That is no good. Stark, oh wow, dogao's in. But, oh yeah, okay, there's defensive skirms here. I don't think dogao can do too much. Stark's getting a second TC up with like 20 vills on this right-hand side. He really wants that. And he's closing the gap to these skirms as well. So Stark's still trading very nicely. It's a really even game so far. And there's the siege workshop after the third TC. So I thought dogao would play a little safer and get the second, third TC first. The third TC for Stark coming up, but no university. So the lack of ballistics here, it means that if dogao gets Stark into a good position, if Stark takes a bad fight, then dogao's going to really capitalize on that, because Stark isn't going to be able to escape without taking massive, massive casualties. Stark here, actually, moving forward a little more. And he's going to push this. He's got so many skirms. He's feeling like he's got a really big advantage to push now. And he's right, because most of this army from dogao is crossbow. And he's got a big number of units out. But dogao, with the mangonel rolling out, let's watch st4rk's point of view for this, because this is really important. He sees the mangonel. He's closing in on this army, knows the mangonel's hot on his heels. Let's see how he deals with this. He splits. He's closing in on the mangonel. Splitting again here. Avoiding the mangonel while focusing on this army at the moment as well. I mean, he can push the mangonel away and try and corner this army in the south. st4rk making really nice plays. And the mangonel going to go down as well now. I don't think he lost a single unit to the mangonel there. That was really well done. And he'll even avoid the damage from the second mangonel as well. So nice micro by st4rk. In fact, great Castle Age play from him so far. And we've got the Siege Workshop coming up for him as well now on the front. dogao getting cornered down here. And st4rk, I mean, imagine if he had ballistics, how much extra damage he would be doing. So st4rk really hurting from that, not having that tech. But, you know, he's doing a great job of microing his units really well. I think dogao actually did an attack ground there to preemptively shoot where the split was going to be. So, well played by him. But, wow. Okay, so dogao adding his 4th range. And things are going to start hotting up now. This is a great game of step right here. The Brits make such an entertaining watch. But, I mean, this is the end of dogao's army. The moment he stops moving these guys around, yeah, st4rk's going to clean that up. He has got to be careful of the mangonels, though. They're an ever-present threat. And you know what? I feel like st4rk could probably get away with making a stable in a couple of knights. I know, obviously, the Brits don't have great knights, but with mass skirm on the field, he could easily snipe the mangonels with a couple of knights here. I guess having your own mangonel also gives you the opportunity to land the big shots onto the army as well. So, you know, it's kind of multifaceted in that sense. But even still, I mean, I think a couple of knights could be really game-changing here for st4rk, or for either player, to be honest. As st4rk does add his university in now, and he's going to go ahead and even add a second siege workshop. So we're going to see a lot of action in the middle of the map. And as I said before, there's no hills. So these guys are just going to be fighting it out and just focusing on the micro aspect of the game. 96 pop for st4rk. dogao at 106. He's got 100 population. Sorry. I meant 10 population extra. And, you know, that's pretty impressive. I'm guessing it's the eco from dogao. I'm thinking he's probably got a few more villagers out here. Looking at his military, he's got 30 military. st4rk has 34. So dogao has about 10 additional villagers right now, which is huge. But if st4rk can take a great fight in the middle of the map, then he can easily do some damage. Oh, dogao's not paying attention. st4rk with the split, but 2 mangonels here. This could be very painful. st4rk, good micro. He's going to split once again. Split these guys. Very nicely done. st4rk really controlling his units well today and takes down all 3 of those mangonels. Meanwhile, dogao is doing the same up in the north side. dogao's going to lose 1 and the second as well here. And both players are absolutely on form right now. Holy crap. Very nicely done by st4rk to take out 3 mangonels right there. It did help that dogao wasn't paying complete attention and he didn't shoot sooner. But wow, I mean, it's, you know what's disappointing is that one of these guys is going to have to go home after this game, after this set of games. I want to see both of these guys in the main event. They're playing really nicely, and dogao's actually falling back. He's outnumbered, and he's got to retreat behind his buildings here. Second siege workshop for dogao now, because you know he's seen the second siege workshop from st4rk, and when you are having a mangonel war, when there's a lot of mangonels on the field, the last thing you want is your opponent to have more mangonels than you. You want to equal them in mangonel count or have more. Because as soon as one player has more, there's just such a much higher probability of being able to land a big shot and really change the course of the battle. So that's why you generally see players just trading 1 for 1. And as soon as one player has like 3 extra mangonels, it's downhill from there. Slippery slope. But yeah, st4rk keeping the pressure on, but still like no villagers going down. I think I've seen 1 villager die this game, and that was the villager building the siege workshop over here. So this is a really close fight at the moment. st4rk, though, behind by 30 population right now, and that's incredible. I'm wondering if dogao maybe added a 4th TC. I mean, he's just been on fire with the villager production. dogao is 30 population ahead. I can't believe that. That's huge. And military-wise, we've got 43 military for dogao, 33 for st4rk. So nearly 20 villages advantage for dogao right now. 20 vills. That is so huge. Considering that both players are on 3 TCs, dogao's macro has been on point throughout all of this. He's not stopped villager production. However, st4rk, on the way up to the Imperial Age already. He's going to have quite an edge over dogao. Dogao needs a little bit more gold. He's not quite there yet. He's adding more ranges. Of course, he's got his 2 buildings, his university and his workshop, but he doesn't quite have the gold. Also, dogao has been mining a bit of stone so he can build a castle, which is really important. But it is going to delay his imperial time a bit. He's still not got the gold. He's stopped making mangonels. Now he's got the gold. He'll click up. But that's a pretty big difference. 50% of the way up already for st4rk right now. st4rk, can he turn around and get a shot before the mangonel dies? Yes, he can. That's going to be nice. A few skirms going down there. But it's still a better trade for dogao to get the mangonel with the skirms. So, once st4rk gets to imp, what's his game plan? Well, right now, I mean, I'm not seeing a huge amount of production from him. We've got a ram coming out, and that's it. st4rk's like, stop production. I'm guessing he wants to go arbalest. He doesn't have a castle, so he's not going to be able to go longbow. And then just go for the techs on the archers, obviously. But, yeah, stopping production is kind of strange. He might consider onager. He's saving quite a lot of food and gold. So, I mean, he could consider onager here. Could be a really... It's risky, but if you hit the shots, you're going to really change things around. So what do we got from st4rk? Right now, bracer. No arbalest. From the siege workshop, we've got capped ram. Okay, so he's going to go capped ram. It's the safer option, I guess, than onager. They're going to be very effective at soaking up the arrow fire in the middle. But look at dogao's army. Holy crap, he's got so many units. Yeah, and he's got a castle on the front as well. So, dogao, quite close to imp himself. And if st4rk doesn't do any damage now, well, dogao's going to have a big advantage. He's got much more army. He's got a bigger economy. And dogao is going to be imp in just a tick. st4rk then. What's the game plan, st4rk? Capped ram, sure. Arbalest. Okay, it is coming in. I was going to say, I mean, he has to go for arbalest, surely. He can't just make skirms here and expect to win this. But I've got a feeling. We might see onager from dogao. Just given how many of these mangonels he's making, I'm getting the feeling he's going to go onager. Plus, he's seen the rams from st4rk, so another reason to make onager here. But we'll see. I mean, it's obviously going to go for bracer first. University's doing chemistry. At the range, he's not upgrading anything there. He's not doing anything from the castle right now. From the siege workshop, onager. It is onager. So, my suspicion was correct, and I think it is a good choice for dogao here. I really do. So he's just going to bide his time here as st4rk builds a TC in the middle. And, you know, he's feeling maybe a little confident in his map control. And he probably should be. But dogao, 200 pop already. st4rk at 161. And these mangonels, these soon-to-be onagers, could be devastating. And that's the key, could be. No guarantees, of course. But if he hits a couple of good shots, man, these scams are toast. Now, look how clumped up these units are from dogao. And imagine if st4rk had done onager instead of rams. Like, those units would have been toast. But as it stands, dogao can push out. And, you know, that aggression from st4rk was quite short-lived. dogao's going for another castle up here to protect that gold, obviously. And he's now moving out towards the center of the map where he can grab this TC. And, I mean, st4rk's just built that. Now it's going to go down, really. We've also got castle here from st4rk. And although st4rk has done the arbalest upgrade, he's not actually made any arbalest. So, it's not... I don't want to say it's wasted, but It's certainly he's not getting as much out of that tech as he could have potentially got out of a different technology. Let's put it that way. He could have used those resources for something else and maybe got some more value out of it. These onagers are scary now. 8 range versus 8 range. You've got to come into the onager's range to attack it, and that's going to do a lot of splash damage and flatten your skirmishes very, very easily. Castle here for Stark going to be denied, and dogao pulling himself a huge advantage right now. dogao 200 out of 200 population basically. Stark at 150, trying to keep his head above water. And oh wow, I didn't even see it on the right side, but I don't even think Stark was seeing this. This is just, oh, so nice from dogao, really. Not only is he just pushing forward here and microing everything out here, at the same time, Arbalest into Stark's economy. He's killed like 15 villagers on this wood line. He's in the farms now as well. And okay, Stark is chasing him down with some skirms, but dogao is doing the D. He's doing the D, and he's rolling on forward. I think we see Stark doing onager here, but it's too late. I think dogao's got this one in the bag. Stark's calling it. And what a great game from these guys. It was so back and forth in the feudal age, back and forth in the castle age. A lot of great micro from both players. Stark, I feel, played very well, but dogao, that was incredible. The way he boomed, whilst, you know, he didn't miss a beat in the center of the map. He was foot on the gas, full military production, and yet he still managed to wrangle himself a 20 villager advantage over Stark when he clicked up to the Imperial Age. Huge. And look at the resources in the bank as well. He's so rich. Not only that, but dogao's ability to multitask with the units going into the economy whilst at the same time really focusing on the front. Just nicely done. And the onager as well. Great tech choice for him. I want to check these stats at the end here. We can see dogao, 163 kills, 115 losses. He had a much larger army. Co-wise, he had a whole 3,200 additional gold, which is huge for you know, 40 minutes of game time. Like a third extra gold is a lot. And not quite a third, a little bit less. But just nice game. Villager count was quite similar in the end, but dogao got there faster, hence the extra resources over here. So nicely done. And dogao's going to get game number 1. Exciting games, though. I mean, great games to sort of finish the day on here. Obviously, this is a best of 3.